Welcome to the Strategic Review. I'm David, your analyst for today.
And I'm Sarah, focused on strategy and practical application.
Have you ever felt maybe when you're planning that next big career move or, mapping out a major business project that you're just constantly held back?
hmm
It's almost like there's this unseen force kind of pulling against your ambition, stopping you from really stepping into your full potential.
Yeah, or maybe you've had that nagging feeling that the truly impactful life you picture, the one where you're firing on all cylinders, experiencing real fulfillment, it just feels slightly out of reach.
Exactly. We all hit those moments, right? That disconnect between what we want, our big goals, and our actual day-to-day reality.
Asheville.
So what's causing that frustrating gap? And maybe more importantly, how do we strategically bridge it? How do we unlock that next level of achievement?
Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into Jen Sincero's, incredibly popular book, You Are a Badass.
Ah, yes, that one.
And look, this isn't just another self-help read. It's really a fundamental challenge to those self-limiting beliefs that, let's be honest, often run the show in our professional and personal lives.
Mhm.
Our mission here with this deep dive is to pull out the most potent, the most actionable strategies from Sincero's often irreverent wisdom
Definitely irreverent.
and translate them into the kind of intelligence that helps you overcome self-doubt, smash through those invisible ceilings, and genuinely transform your reality.
And let's be really clear right from the start. This
Yeah.
isn't about, quick fixes or fluffy affirmations that feel good for 5 minutes.
Right.
Sincero gives you this raw, often very funny, but deeply practical guide to fundamentally shifting your internal landscape.
Yeah.
For the modern executive, for you listening, this means more than just a simple mindset tweak. Think of it more like a blueprint for, re-engineering your default operating system.
That's a great way to put it.
We're going to really dissect her core arguments. Look at how our perception literally shapes our professional and personal reality. We'll explore those deep subconscious drivers behind why we do what we do and lay out some actual actionable intelligence. Stuff designed to help you move from just wanting a different, more impactful life
Right. The wanting
to actually deciding to live one.
Right.
Think of this as a strategic review of your own internal OS, making sure every minute we spend today delivers real, tangible value for your career and honestly beyond.
The foundation of change, mindset and beliefs.
Okay, so let's dive into this foundational idea.
Mm-hmm.
Sincero hits it right at the start, and it really sets the stage for everything else. This huge, almost like a canyon-sized difference between just wanting to change your life
Mm-hmm.
and truly deciding to change it.
Yeah.
He puts it, pretty bluntly, as she does. I'll quote it here. Wanting can be done sitting on the couch with a bong in your hand and a travel magazine in your lap.
Yeah. Classic Sincero.
Deciding means jumping in all the way, doing whatever it takes, and going after your dreams with the tenacity of a dateless cheerleader a week before prom night.
It definitely paints a picture, doesn't it?
It really does. It highlights a critical distinction.
Absolutely. And what's so powerful there is how vividly she contrasts that sort of passive desire with this active, unwavering commitment. It
Right.
just hammers home that real transformation, whether that's a big career pivot or, a personal breakthrough. It isn't born from just wishing.
Well,
It comes from this unshakable, all-in resolve. And that immediately raises a really important question for you listening right now. How many of us, especially in these high-stakes professional environments, find ourselves kind of perpetually stuck in that wanting phase?
thinking about it, planning it.
Exactly. Maybe mistaking intention or even really detailed planning for actual aggressive action. Sincero's own story is a fantastic example of this.
Yeah, she's very open about it.
She talks about racking up credit card debt to unthinkable heights while, simultaneously investing heavily in coaches and self-development. A move that, frankly, many people would see as incredibly reckless.
Totally.
But then, within just 6 months, she tripled her income with an online business. That incredibly fast, almost unbelievable shift from someone who, in her words, used to so enjoy rolling her eyes at self-help stuff
Right.
to becoming totally obsessed with it. Well, it just shows the sheer undeniable power of making a true
It
decision.
wasn't just a thought.
No, it wasn't a fleeting preference. It was a complete recalibration of her commitment. And that translated directly into tangible, relentless action. For an executive, that means moving beyond just the SWOT analyses and the strategic roadmaps.
Important, but not enough.
Right.
Oh.
It's about actually making those tough, committed choices that really propel things forward.
And that's exactly where it gets practical for our listeners, the ambitious professionals trying to navigate these complex landscapes. This difference, wanting versus deciding, is not just philosophy.
Not at all.
It fundamentally impacts everything. Getting that promotion you want, launching that new business venture, even just sticking to a healthy lifestyle consistently. So are you genuinely decided on that big promotion you've been strategizing about? Or that new market entry you've sketched out? That culture shift you say the organization needs?
Or are you still hedging your bets a bit?
Exactly.
Right.
Or are you maybe subconsciously still kind of hovering in the wishing phase, holding back just a little bit of full commitment? Sincero really pushes you to embrace this idea of limitless possibilities.
Yeah, she does.
Urging you to put aside that ingrained disbelief, that voice that says it won't work, and find the courage to take those calculated risks, even when maybe past experience or failures suggest otherwise.
It's about that leap of faith.
It is.
Yeah.
It's about taking that initial, maybe terrifying leap of faith in yourself and your vision. Because honestly, when you really weigh the opportunity cost, what do you really have to lose by actively trying to create the career or the life you're currently just, watching with a bit of envy?
Right. It turns passive desire into an active strategy.
A calculated gamble on your own potential.
You really hit on something crucial there. If you're not all in, as Sincero puts it, the universe, or maybe just, more pragmatically, your own internal compass and the opportunities around you, they just don't get a clear signal.
Mixed messages.
Totally. You end up broadcasting, yeah, I want this big outcome, but at the same time, I'm not quite willing to sacrifice my current comfort for it, or deep down, I don't actually believe this is possible for someone like me. The second you make that unshakable, crystal clear decision, it's like a switch flips inside.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just change how you feel, it fundamentally changes how you perceive opportunities, how you interact with the world, what you attract. It shifts your entire energetic alignment, your strategic focus, to match up perfectly with your biggest goals. Otherwise, any action you take feels like pushing a boulder uphill, right? It's this constant grind, needing way more effort for often pretty minimal results. It's the difference between just, say, going through the motions on a sales call
Checking the box.
versus radiating this absolute, unshakable belief in your product or your solution, which actually brings us neatly to another really critical concept she explores, the subconscious mind.
Ah, yes. This is where it gets really interesting. And maybe a bit uncomfortable.
Often the case.
Sincero dives deep into this dynamic between our conscious mind, the one we're aware of, and the subconscious. She makes this pretty bold claim. Most people are living in an illusion based on someone else's beliefs.
Wow, okay.
Why? Because critically, our subconscious believes everything without any filter. And this is especially true, she argues, for all that unfiltered information we soaked up as kids.
Right, when we're like sponges.
Exactly. She goes on to say, this subconscious mind contains the blueprint for our lives, and it's operating based on unfiltered information it gathered when we were kids, otherwise known as our beliefs.
So our childhood programming basically runs the show in the background.
That's the implication. Our earliest experiences, things we might not even remember, literally hardwire our default settings. They lay down this hidden operating system that dictates so much of our adult behavior.
Okay, so if we connect that to the bigger picture, say executive performance or how organizations function, it gives us a really powerful lens for understanding why we sometimes self-sabotage.
Definitely.
Even when we have clear conscious desires and really well thought out strategic objectives, our conscious mind, the analytical part that crunches data, sets quarterly goals, decides on new policies, remembers client names, and that's really just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? The subconscious, as Sincero describes it, is that massive, unexamined chunk below the surface running on that deep, early programming. So think about this common scenario. Maybe your parent or parents constantly struggled with money when you were growing up. Maybe there were always comments about money not growing on trees, or maybe they became kind of emotionally distant because they were always stressed about making ends meet.
Yeah, that resonates for a lot of people.
Your subconscious mind might have absorbed a whole set of beliefs around that, like money equals constant struggle, or wealth is just not available, or even money is the root of pain and causes people to abandon you, money just sucks.
Wow. Okay.
So consciously, you might desperately want financial success. You're working hard, climbing the ladder, trying to build wealth. But subconsciously, you might find yourself consistently staying broke no matter how hard you work.
Or making it and losing it.
Exactly. Or maybe making significant money only to lose it through unexpected problems or really poor decisions. And why? Because your subconscious is trying to protect you from that deep-seated, perceived pain or abandonment associated with money.
So it's actually trying to help in a twisted way.
In its own misguided way, yes. Which raises a huge question for you listening. What lame, limiting, and false subconscious belief, as Sincero calls them, might you be unconsciously dragging around? How might it be impacting your career path, your financial situation, even your leadership style, without you even realizing its influence?
That's a heavy question.
It is. These are those invisible forces Sincero really wants us to uncover.
And she gives some incredibly relatable, almost stark examples of this subconscious blueprint just actively shaping our lives, often completely opposite to what we consciously say we want. Like imagine consciously wanting to find a soulmate, build a deep partnership, right? But your subconscious, humming away in the background, keeps whispering, careful intimacy always leads to pain and suffering. And the result you see, a perpetually ringless finger maybe, or just a string of relationships that never quite get serious. Or, totally different example, you genuinely consciously want to lose weight. Maybe for health reasons, maybe for professional presence. But your subconscious has built what she calls a fortress of flab because it's operating on this ingrained belief that people aren't safe. I need this physical shield to protect myself.
Wow. That's powerful framing.
Isn't it? And for the ambitious types, maybe the executive dreaming of global expansion or launching bold new ventures, that conscious desire to travel the world, see new markets, might be totally stifled by a subconscious conviction like, having fun means being irresponsible, and if I'm irresponsible, I won't be loved.
Resulting in
A frustratingly blank passport, opportunities just left on the table. These aren't just minor conflicts or fleeting thoughts. These are deep stories, she calls them, operating like powerful, self-fulfilling prophecies.
they literally create your reality.
Exactly. Based on old, often painful programming, not on what you consciously want right now. They're like the invisible hand guiding your choices, often steering you right away from the very things you say you want. It really forces you to question your deepest motivations.
It absolutely does. It forces this fundamental shift, doesn't it? From just reacting to what happens to you to proactively looking at and maybe even re-engineering your internal wiring.
Yeah.
And this insight naturally leads us straight into Sincero's really interesting concept of frequency and vibration. It offers a practical way to maybe start overcoming these subconscious patterns.
Okay, so if our subconscious blueprints are basically creating our reality, how do we consciously shape a new reality? One that actually matches up with our ambitions for success and impact.
Yeah.
Sincero brings in this powerful idea of vibration and frequency. She argues that if we're, quote, vibrating at a low frequency, so feeling pessimistic, needy, like a victim, jealous, ashamed, worried.
All those heavy feelings.
Right. But at the same time, we're expecting high-frequency, awesome things to just show up in our lives.
Yeah.
Well, we're basically setting ourselves up for disappointment.
It's an energetic mismatch.
A total misalignment between what we are being and what we desire.
And the brilliance of this thinking strategically is how she calls for this complete alignment of our internal energy with our external goals.
Yeah.
She uses that great analogy, comparing it to trying to listen to, 105.9 FM slow jams.
Right.
But your radio dial is physically tuned to 89.9 FM National Public Radio. You're just not going to get the slow jams, right? You'll get news about immigration laws or something.
Exactly.
It vividly shows that unless your energy is lined up properly with that which you desire, any action you take is going to require way more effort to get even small results, which makes you pause and ask, in your pursuit of your goals, professional or personal, are you truly in tune with what you're trying to attract? Sincero puts it really directly. You have to change your thinking first, and then the evidence appears.
That's the key part.
Our big mistake is that we do it the other way around. We demand to see the evidence before we believe it to be true. This flips conventional business wisdom on its head, doesn't it? Usually we want proof before we commit.
Absolutely. Show me the data, then I'll believe.
But Sincero argues belief isn't just a result of success. It's actually a prerequisite for unlocking those higher levels of achievement. You have to cultivate the conviction before the outcome, not wait for the outcome to give you conviction.
And to really hammer that home, that counterintuitive idea, she talks about acting as if. So imagine an executive who desperately wants to partner with some super influential figure in their industry, maybe even the president, metaphorically speaking.
Okay.
Sincere's advice in her style would be something like, pick out the exact suit you'd wear for that hypothetical poolside meeting. Think through your talking points. Mentally rehearse the conversation.
Live it before it happens.
Yes. Live it, breathe it, experience the vision as if it's already real, even if it feels a bit weird doing it. Another really powerful tool she loves for this is the vision board,
The vision board.
which she calls, charmingly, craft day with God. It's a physical, visual anchor for your desires, something you see every day that helps you consciously pull your goals into your environment, helping you maintain that high frequency.
Makes it tangible.
Exactly. And these internal shifts, getting your mindset right, aligning your energy, they are absolutely crucial. They don't just make you feel better. They strategically prepare you for the inevitable chaos, the external challenges that will pop up when you make that big decision to change.
Oh, they will pop up.
And trust me, they won't be subtle.
Indeed. It's almost like the universe, or maybe just the inertia of your own comfort zone, immediately starts testing your resolve the moment you make a genuine commitment, which leads us right into a major internal hurdle. Sincero dissects the ego, or as she calls it, the big snooze.
Overcoming internal and external obstacles.
Right, the big snooze, or sometimes she just calls it BS. Sincero describes this as the part of us that operates according to your limiting false beliefs. And here's the kicker. It is extremely committed to keeping you safely confined within the reality you've created based on these limiting false beliefs, which is essentially your comfort zone.
So it's like your internal security guard.
Exactly. A very dedicated one whose main job is maintaining the status quo, even if that status quo makes you miserable or holds you back from amazing opportunities. It's the ultimate gatekeeper of the familiar.
And the genius of her framing here is showing that the big snooze isn't just passive resistance. It actively, sometimes aggressively, fights against change.
Even good change.
Even positive change that you consciously want. She compares it to an overprotective Italian mother who not only doesn't want you to ever go outside, but who wants you to live with her forever.
Ah, that's vivid.
It is. So when you try to make a giant leap outside our comfort zone, like launching that risky new product or going for a leadership role you feel underqualified for, or even just trying to set a healthier work-life boundary, the big snooze triggers chaos in an attempt to self-sabotage. And she lists these almost comical examples. Trees fall on our cars, our computers crash, we find our significant others in bed with our best friends, we get our identity stolen, we get the flu, our roofs cave in, we sit in gum.
It sounds absurd, but...
But for an executive, this isn't just metaphor, right? It often shows up as real, infuriating operational problems. Unexpected team conflicts, sudden cash flow issues, even personal health crises that seem to magically appear right when you're making your boldest move.
Yeah, the timing is uncanny sometimes.
It's your internal system basically screaming, abort, abort, go back to what's familiar.
And she tells that incredible story, almost hard to believe, about one of her coaching clients.
Oh yeah, the bus story.
Yeah, this guy had a high-paying, secure, but totally soul-crushing job, makes the huge decision to quit and start his dream company from scratch.
Big leap.
Huge leap. No clear plan, family to support, no guarantees, hardly any leads. But he does it, just fueled by this desire for a life he loves. And that's when, as she says, the BS hit the fan. Big time.
Okay, what happened?
After one coaching session where they talked about this leap, he gets 2 flat tires on his way home. Then his babysitter crashes his wife's car. Then the water main under his kitchen floor explodes.
Oh my God, seriously.
Seriously. And then the absolute kicker, right before his first huge multi-million-dollar deal is about to close, he gets hit by a bus.
No. Was he okay?
Physically, yes, thankfully. But can you imagine? These are extreme, almost comical setbacks that would give anyone the perfect excuse to just say, okay, universe, I get it, bad idea, and give up.
Absolutely. Assigned to retreat.
But despite all this external proof that his big snooze was right, he never gave up. And today, he's a thriving entrepreneur, his own boss, loves his work, travels the world, negotiates huge deals, makes a real impact. It just vividly shows what Sincero calls that detox of such staggering proportions, where it feels like everything is being thrown at you to test your commitment.
Yeah.
So for you, listening, the key takeaway here is this chaos. It isn't the universe conspiring against you. It's your old identity, that dug-in big snooze fighting for its life.
It's a sign you're pushing the boundary.
Exactly. Every truly successful person, every innovator, they've all faced this big snooze scorn when they push beyond their comfort zone. It's actually a sign you're on the right track.
And that internal battle is often made way harder by external pressures, right? Which adds another layer of complexity, especially for executives who are often in the spotlight, working in very interconnected teams and systems.
Absolutely. It's not just our own internal BS we have to deal with. Sincero gives this really important warning. We live in a fear-based society that loves to get all uppity toward people who wake up from the big snooze.
Uppity. Love it.
Right. Other people, even friends, family, colleagues who mean well, they might express their discomfort with your change in all sorts of ways.
Subtle and not so subtle.
Exactly. It could be anger, hurt, bafflement, criticism, maybe snorting every time you talk about your new business or your new friends, or
Yeah.
just those constant little remarks about how you're not the way you used to be.
Mm-hmm. The "you've changed" comments.
Yeah. And sometimes these are genuinely people projecting their own fears and limitations onto you. But their fear, if you let it in, can be incredibly contagious and really undermine your resolve.
Which brings up a super critical question for any high achiever.
Yeah.
How do you protect your superhero muscles, as she calls them, that newfound confidence and drive, when other people are busy smearing their fear and worry all over you, maybe subtly trying to pull you back down?
Yeah. How do you handle that?
Sincero's advice is pretty direct, almost blunt. Strategically limit your time and energy with those who consistently bring you down, even if they say they have your best interests at heart. Instead, you need to actively seek out and surround yourself with supportive people, supportive environments. And her reasoning is really insightful, especially for managing professional relationships. What other people think about you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them.
That's huge.
It is. Their fears, their limitations, that's their stuff, not a reflection of your potential or your path. Understanding that lets you stay really connected to what's true for you, which she argues is absolutely essential to becoming and staying a mighty superhero in your own life.
Right.
Think about that example she gives of Shirley, the woman wanting to quit her safe job to open a nail salon.
Yeah, I remember that.
She faced this constant barrage of worried comments about financial ruin from her friends and family, even while she herself was secretly battling panic attacks about it at night. Her own fear was a big enough hurdle. She definitely didn't need everyone else piling on theirs, too.
It's such a classic dynamic, isn't it? For you listening, think about the history of innovation. Think about how much skepticism visionaries have always faced.
Oh, absolutely.
Sincero paints that funny but really sharp picture, imagining how neighbors might have talked about the Wright brothers, like gossiping about poor Susan Wright. Her sons, those two, they think they can fly.
Oh, crazy.
Crazy, a shame the town will move out of town because of them. It just brilliantly shows that deep-seated resistance society often has to anything that fundamentally challenges the way things are done, especially when it's one person stepping way outside the perceived norm. So for you, the ambitious professional, this insight is incredibly relevant when you're navigating a big career change, maybe starting your own thing, or even just trying to initiate a major shift within your current organization. You will likely face skepticism, maybe polite doubt, maybe even outright negativity.
Yeah.
Understanding whose opinion actually matters, whose feedback is genuinely constructive versus whose is just fear-talking, and having the strength to tune out the latter, that is an absolutely critical skill for making real progress and driving innovation. You have to become a master filter for external noise.
And often, that external fear, that societal pressure, is something we unconsciously absorb, right? It stops being just an external thing and becomes this deeply personal, sometimes paralyzing internal choice.
Sincero goes right at fear, arguing passionately that fear is for suckers. She tells that gripping personal story about being in a pitch-black cave in the Jemez Mountains.
Oh, yeah, that's intense.
Totally dark, disorienting. She describes feeling this wave of pure hysteria coming over her. But right in that moment of intense vulnerability, she has this massive realization, and this is really the core of her point about fear. The choice was mine. To fear or not to fear, that is the question.
Wow. recognizing agency even in terror.
Exactly. It's this raw, visceral description of confronting that internal panic and realizing you still have a choice in how you respond.
So if we take that really personal moment and apply it more broadly, strategically, it suggests that fear, okay, yes, it's a powerful, often instinctive emotion.
Can't deny that.
But fundamentally, how we react to it is a choice. It's not about trying to eliminate fear altogether, but about reframing its power over us.
Yeah.
And she offers that brilliant, almost deceptively simple exercise to kind of dissect and neutralize fear. Just keep asking yourself, then what?
Right. The then what exercise.
Let's try it with a common professional fear. Okay, I want to pitch my big new idea to senior leadership, but I'm procrastinating on the presentation. Why? I'm scared they'll tear it apart, think it's terrible.
Okay. Then what?
If it's terrible, I'll look stupid. My reputation will take a hit.
Then what?
My colleagues might gossip. I might lose credibility, maybe miss out on the next promotion.
You and what?
I'll feel deeply ashamed, maybe embarrassed, and my career momentum will stall. Okay, now here's Sincero's critical insight. Since you're risking feeling stupid and ashamed either way,
How so?
either by trying and potentially failing, or by never trying and living with the regret and self-blame of inaction, you have to really ask yourself, which version is actually worse?
Ah.
Is it trying to write it and having it be terrible, or never going for it and living an unlived life of mediocrity, wimpiness, and shame? That exercise just brilliantly exposes the illusion that doing nothing somehow protects you from negative feelings.
It just swaps one set for another?
Exactly.
Huh.
Often trading immediate, maybe sharp discomfort for a much longer, deeper, more corrosive sense of regret and self-condemnation. Sincero's own story about finally overcoming her fear of traveling alone.
Yeah, she talks about India.
Right. Which led her to falling in love with India and totally changing her perspective on the world. It just reinforces that the actual outcome you fear is often way less significant, and the potential reward for pushing through is way greater than this scary story fear tells you. It's about recognizing that the discomfort of growth, while it's real, almost always beats the quiet, profound pain of professional stagnation.
That's a really powerful way to reframe it. Acknowledging that fear often pretends to be protective, but inaction driven by fear. That often leads to much bigger regrets, missed shots, and ironically, the very shame or stagnation it was trying to help you avoid.
Exactly.
And speaking of self-reflection and these internal dynamics, Sincero brings up another really profound idea about our relationships and how we see things. The mirror effect.
The mirror, yes.
She basically says our reality is a mirror of our thoughts, the people in our reality included, meaning the things that consistently bug us about other people, those little irritations. They often remind us of something that we don't like about ourselves, or they trigger a fear or insecurity that we have but may not realize we have.
Okay, that's challenging.
It is, but potentially very illuminating.
The strategic gold in that concept, I think, is how it pushes us towards radical self-reflection instead of just blaming others.
Turn the lens inward.
Exactly. It encourages you to look inside precisely when you feel most annoyed or frustrated or judgmental about someone else. So, for instance, if there's a colleague on your team or maybe a stakeholder you deal with who's just an insufferable know-it-all, always interrupting, dominating meetings, making everyone feel small.
We've all met one.
Right. And it drives you absolutely nuts. Sincero suggests it's highly likely it bothers you so much because you most likely are a know-it-all yourself, or you worry that you are one, or you have insecurities about people thinking that you know nothing.
Ouch. Okay.
It immediately prompts that important question for you listening. What specific criticisms or annoying behaviors in others are actually maybe uncomfortable invitations to look inward, to address your own blind spots or unresolved issues?
Yeah.
And she points out another critical dynamic. When we kind of agree, consciously or unconsciously, to let ourselves down, maybe compromise our own truth to accommodate someone else's bad behavior, like letting a colleague constantly dump work on us or putting up with disrespectful comments, avoiding conflict. Right. It's often because we're unwilling to make other people more uncomfortable than they just made us. It becomes less about their behavior and more about your own deep belief about whether you're actually worthy of being seen, respected, and having clear boundaries, even if setting those boundaries causes temporary discomfort for someone else.
So it comes back to self-worth again.
It really does. It reframes personal accountability within relationships.
She tells that great story about this with her friend Pink, who she describes as very girly,
Mm-hmm.
and Pink's friend from college, who is very macho. Sincero admits she was really dreading it, bracing for what she called an estrogen bomb, this whole sorority vibe she wasn't into.
Okay.
But then, surprise, she realizes that actually underneath it all three of them were equally as macho.
Mhm.
They shared this kind of bold, irreverent energy. And because of that shared energy, their inner neglected girls felt safe to come out hiding.
Ah, interesting.
They ended up having this amazing, uninhibited, super fun weekend. And that unexpected outcome just perfectly highlights how other people can literally mirror back parts of ourselves that we might be suppressing or judging or just aren't comfortable with yet.
Yeah.
So for you, the executive, the takeaway is use those difficult interactions, those challenging personalities, not just as sources of frustration, but as really potent fuel for personal growth and self-awareness.
See them as data points about yourself.
Exactly. And it's also about knowing when it's time to hit eject, as she puts it. When to strategically disengage from relationships, professional or personal, that consistently drag you down into their drama. Focus instead on self-preservation and your own positive strategic path forward.
And all this deep internal work, reassessing how we see ourselves, how we interact with fear, how we relate to others, it all ultimately funnels into cultivating radical self-love, which Sincero positions as the absolute bedrock for any lasting change.
Cultivating self-love in action.
Yeah, self-love, it's a recurring theme, almost the foundation of the whole book. It's even a chapter title, Love the One You Is.
Catchy.
And she's quick to point out, this isn't about being conceited or narcissistic. She actually argues that stuff comes from fear and a lack of real self-love.
Right, it's a defense mechanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What she means is forging a deep connection with our highest selves and an unshakable ability to forgive our lowest. Her core argument is pretty simple but profound. If we really love ourselves, everything in our life works.
That's a big claim.
It is a big claim, but she backs it up effectively.
And when you think about it in terms of high performance, sustained success for executives, self-love really is that fundamental base for almost everything else, isn't it?
How so?
Well, it's the engine that frees you up from all that heavy baggage. The guilt, resentment, and criticism, whether it's stuff you direct at yourself or stuff you absorb from others, it allows you to consciously choose compassion, joy, and gratitude instead.
Yeah.
And Sincero gives very practical, actionable ways to get there. First, she says you have to appreciate how special you are. And she gives this great reminder. You are the only you there is and ever will be. I repeat, you are the only you there is and ever will be. Do not deny the world its one and only chance to bask in your brilliance.
That's not just fluffy talk.
No. Strategically, it's recognizing your unique value, your unique contribution in whatever setting you're in, a boardroom, a startup team, whatever. Second, she really stresses forgiving yourself for past mistakes, missteps, things you see as failures.
That can be hard.
It can be incredibly hard, but she offers this powerful mantra for it, something executives can literally use. Holding on to my bad feelings about this is doing nothing but harming me and everyone else and preventing me from enjoying my life fully. I am an awesome person. I choose to enjoy my life. I choose to let this go.
Choosing to let it go.
Right. It highlights forgiveness not as like wiping the slate clean of responsibility, but as a way to achieve immediate personal freedom. It frees up so much energy that was tied up in beating yourself up or endlessly replaying mistakes.
Yeah.
She tells that charming little story about her 2-year-old nephew, how he flawlessly bends at the knees to pick things up, and her brother's just in awe, saying the kid could flip over a car without straining his back.
Right.
It just highlights this innate perfection, this effortless way of being that we often lose as adults when we get bogged down in self-doubt and overthinking everything.
And one of the quickest ways to sabotage that self-love, to really take all the fun out of life, as she puts it, is comparison.
Oh, the comparison trap. Brutal.
Totally. Sincero's just unequivocal about it. She says bluntly, it's none of your business what other people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
All that matters is that you're enjoying yourself and pleased with what you're creating.
That's a liberating thought, isn't it? Especially in competitive fields.
It really is.
She basically frees us from constantly measuring ourselves against external benchmarks. She pushes us to imagine, like, what would our world, our industries, our creative fields even look like if the biggest heroes, the biggest innovators were always paralyzed by comparison?
Yeah.
She jokes, if Marilyn Monroe compared herself to Kate Moss and decided she needed to lose her curves, Or if the guys in Led Zeppelin compared themselves to Mozart, like, dude, that guy's huge.
Right.
Maybe we should get rid of our drummer and add some harps.
Uh, that's ridiculous when you put it like that.
Exactly. And it raises that critical question for you, the ambitious professional. How much strategic energy, how much creative power, how much actual joy are you just throwing away by constantly comparing your unique path, your unique value, your unique style to someone else's curated highlight reel? You're actively denying your own irreplaceable awesomeness, she'd say.
Hmm.
She powerfully reinforces that your uniqueness isn't a flaw to be fixed or hidden. It's your superpower. It's your competitive edge. Her message is crystal clear. You are more than enough. Avoid comparison like the plague.
And building right on that idea of not comparing, she makes this incredibly bold, almost confrontational statement. She says, do not waste your precious time giving one single crap about what anybody else thinks of you.
Wow. Zero ambiguity.